Could you just say a bit about being in the military during that time? It was before it was legal for LGBT people to be in the military, so very different than it would be for those who are in the military today.
Yes, you're right. And I say dreams, but I've decided I have to change that, because I always think like you wake up from a dream. So then there's a reality of trying. So I had the dream, I woke up and I went for it and finally got it. But yeah, in the military, look, when I joined, I didn't really have a label for my sexuality. I just sort of was me. I was a junior international athlete, and that's all I was, Kelly, you know. And is when I joined the Women's Royal Army Corps, I realised at that stage I probably was attracted to women, and because they'll kiss me and it's like, oh, fine. There was also a ban that was in place, meaning that it was effectively against the law to be gay from 1964, which, for those that don't know, lasted until 2000. I was still serving until 1997. So my whole military career, I was serving through the ban. Now, the thing is with it, anybody that was potentially gay, bisexual, or however they might have presented at the time, given the language a little bit different back in the 80s, 90s, kind of, you just knew it was like an unspoken word. You didn't have to say, you just found your tribe. It was the hierarchy, and obviously the more that level that was, had put it in place. What was it like? I loved my job. I literally loved being in the military, having wanted to be in since I was 14. And the consequences of being found out that I was gay would ruin everything that I'd ever wanted. My career, I could have been chucked out, could have been jailed, could have been sexually, verbally, physically abused, which some were. I was raided, so at 22, quite a young age, raided, which means like we call it now witch hunt. People from the SOB or the military police would come into units, and they would basically ransack your room and your living space. And what that would mean is if you went home, you were burgled, the perpetrators still being in there, but ripping through your belongings to find out if you were gay or you may be gay. Yeah. And this is the thing, is if you were or maybe. Yeah. It wasn't always people that definitely were, because they might not have known. It was people that had accused them of, or somebody who knew they were going to a hierarchy. Yeah. So, of course, what happened then, it's affected me as a young person, because I was petrified. Like, I was so terrified, one, of the raid, because they weren't going to find anything at that time, but I was just petrified of losing my career. I loved it. Yeah. I didn't know what else I was going to do at that time. I wasn't back into elite sport. And so that sort of stayed with me throughout my career, which is such a shame, because it made me have a love relationship with the military. Yeah.
And I was at the Fighting with Pride ceremony last week as part of Pride Month, as we're recording this, where it was very, very moving in that you had people who had served under the ban and suffered the consequences of being found out and campaigned to change and lift the ban. And then people who are in the forces now who were talking about how much more inclusive it was and being thankful for all the work that had been done. And I know that you were involved in the Etherington Review, and just are there any sort of key lessons from that which you could just share?
Yeah, I think firstly, the fact that you have the different eras is really important to bring people together. I think the younger generation understanding what maybe the old generation and all those that went through the ban felt, suffered, and what they did to fight for the younger generation's rights, to allow them to continue to serve. Because you remember, everybody in the military was still, they were still soldiers, or whatever they want to call it, if they were Navy and Air Force, they'd call themselves. But, I think that's important to see both sides. Yeah. For the older generation to be, kind of pleased that younger generation can now serve. I think that's really important to have that. Part of the Etherington Review was actually reaching out to veterans who had suffered in the ban, because you have to remember that a lot had detached themselves from anything to do with the military because of a real, in some cases, hate, in some cases, hurt, and divide of how they felt their service was. A lot of people like myself are very proud to have served for a country. Others feel a real sense of, I don't know, injustice.
Yeah.
Now, the Everton Review obviously gave people a chance to get we ended up through that review finding a lot of veterans that were able to come forward, tell their stories, which led to a apology by Rishi Sunak, Prime Minister. Badges being given back, long service medals, which you have to serve at least 15 years to get a long service medal. They were ripped off of people. Berries, which is your regiment, being taken away. Multiple things happened. And since that review, they're all now coming back. And people obviously are going, I think you mentioned your husband, partner.
Ex-partner.
Ex-partner. Cut. Ex-partner. Going through the process of getting financial reparation back, which absolutely is not enough for certain soldiers, but at least it's something.
Yeah. And I think that's the key bit, isn't it? It's a justice of any sort always carries with it sort of that edge where it should never have happened, but given that it did, what can you do to make reparation?